So that's a pretty, you're going to face, you're going to have to face the reality of what this life is at some point.
Nicole Kidman finally said something about the Keith Urban divorce, and the reason fans cannot stop talking about it is not because she said too much. It is because she said just enough. After months of silence, Nicole gave her first public comments on the split in a March 11th interview, and instead of turning it into a messy public moment, she chose her words so carefully that people instantly started reading between the lines. When someone this private finally speaks, even a few calm sentences can hit louder than a full confession. And this time, that is exactly what happened. For months, the story around Nicole and Keith felt strangely unfinished. People knew the marriage had ended. People saw the headlines. People followed the court updates, but Nicole herself had not really addressed it in public. That silence created a lot of space for speculation. So when she finally spoke, fans were listening for every little clue. Not because she was expected to drag him, but because people wanted to hear how she would frame the end of nearly 2 decades with one of the most famous couples in entertainment. Before we go deeper, tell me in the comments whether you think her words sounded like peace, heartbreak, or both. And if you enjoy celebrity stories that go beyond the headline, make sure to like and subscribe for more.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
So you can do the work to actually try to, and it's never done, but you can always be going, okay, what do I do here? What is the next chapter? Particularly when you get to a certain stage in life, it's like, okay, where am I at now with who I am? And am I okay being alone?
What makes this moment so interesting is that Nicole did not come out swinging at all. She said she is always moving toward what is good, and then she followed that with something even more telling. She said she is grateful for her family, wants to keep them as they are, and that everything else she does not discuss out of respect. Then came the line that really caught attention. She said, "We are a family, and that is what they will continue to be." That sounds graceful on the surface, but it also feels very intentional. It is the kind of statement that closes one door while trying to keep another one from slamming shut. That is why these first words landed so hard. Nicole did not give viewers a dramatic reveal or a tearful breakdown. She gave them restraint. And sometimes restraint says more than a rant ever could. Fans know that when a star this polished chooses to stay measured, there is usually a reason. It can mean she is protecting the children. It can mean she has processed more than she wants the public to know. Or it can simply mean she has no interest in letting a painful chapter turn into public entertainment. But no matter how you read it, her tone made one thing clear. This is not a woman trying to reopen old wounds in public. The timeline makes the moment even bigger. Nicole filed for divorce in September 2025, and the divorce was finalized on January 6, 2026. Reports said the filing cited marital difficulties and irreconcilable differences. The legal side moved fast, but emotionally, the public side stayed quiet. That gap between the paperwork and her first words is what made this interview feel like a real turning point. It was not just another celebrity quote. It was the first sign of how Nicole wanted this chapter remembered. And the family side of this story matters a lot. Nicole and Keith share 2 daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, and Nicole's comments were clearly centered around them. Reports say she was granted primary residential custody, while both parents still share responsibility for major decisions. That gives extra weight to her "we are a family" line, because it does not sound like empty image management. It sounds like someone drawing a boundary. The marriage may be over, but the family connection is not. That idea is probably the emotional center of everything she said. But then came another line that fans immediately locked onto. While reflecting on the past year, Nicole said that 2025 was quiet for her, that she had other things going on, and that she was in my shell. That one phrase changed the whole mood. Suddenly, this was not just a neat, polished update from a movie star. It sounded like someone hinting that last year hit harder than people realized. She did not explain it. She did not fill in the blanks. But she did not need to. The phrase did the work for her. It suggested withdrawal, pain, protection, maybe even survival. And for viewers, that kind of emotional glimpse is exactly what keeps a story alive. That line also gave the public a new way to look back at the silence. Instead of treating it like calculated PR, people started seeing it as someone going inward while her private life was shifting in a major way. It reframes the whole post-split period. Nicole was not loudly reclaiming herself online. She was not dropping cryptic captions. She was not feeding the tabloids. According to her own words, she was in her shell. That makes this interview feel less like a promo stop and more like the first real sign that she is stepping back into the light. Another detail adding emotion to the story is Nashville. Nicole has now said she plans to stay there, calling it her home. That matters because Nashville was not just another celebrity property on a list. It was part of the life she built with Keith. So for her to stay says a lot. It suggests continuity. It suggests she is not trying to erase the past. And it suggests that, even after a public breakup, she wants stability more than spectacle. For viewers, that makes the story feel less like a Hollywood split and more like a real family, trying to figure out what remains after the marriage is gone. That choice also feeds the emotional contrast at the center of this whole story. On one hand, Nicole is clearly moving forward. On the other hand, she is not running from the places, routines, and responsibilities that defined the marriage. That balance is what makes her comments so compelling. She is not acting like nothing happened, but she is also not turning the breakup into her new identity. She sounds like someone trying to protect what can still be protected while accepting what is already over. And honestly, that is a much more powerful story than a messy public war would have been. There is also something else people picked up on. Nicole's words were calm, but they were not casual. They were almost too careful, and that is why fans keep replaying them. When someone says they are moving toward what is good, it sounds hopeful. But it also implies they have spent time moving through something that was not. When someone says they will not discuss more out of respect, it can sound classy. But it can also suggest there is more there. That kind of phrasing keeps people curious because it feels both complete and unfinished at the same time. And then she shifted into 2026 mode. Nicole made it sound like this year's about stepping out of that shell and getting back to life. She talked about upcoming work, including Practical Magic 2 and Scarpetta, and framed 2026 like a fresh chapter. That matters because it changes the energy of the story. Instead of ending on loss, it starts turning toward reinvention. Viewers love that kind of pivot because it gives them two stories in one. There is the breakup, yes, but there is also the comeback. And often the comeback becomes the bigger headline in the end.
I'm out. You could not offer me enough money.
30 seconds.
That is probably why these first words have had such an impact. They were not explosive enough to feel reckless, but they were emotional enough to feel real. Nicole managed to say something meaningful without losing control of the narrative. In celebrity news, that is rare. Usually the first public comment after a major split either feels too polished to matter or too dramatic to trust. This landed right in the middle. It felt human, but still guarded. And that combination is exactly why people are still talking about it. The bigger question now is whether this was closure or just the first layer. Sometimes a first statement is all the public ever gets. Other times it opens the door to more honesty later on. Right now, Nicole seems determined to keep certain details private, and that may never change. But even without a tell-all moment, she already gave people enough to understand the emotional shape of what happened. She is protecting her daughters. She is staying rooted. She is choosing dignity over chaos, and she is stepping into 2026 with the kind of controlled confidence that makes people want to watch what she does next. So in the end, Nicole Kidman's first words on the Keith Urban divorce were not loud, but they were powerful. She did not give the public a meltdown. She gave them a message. The marriage is over, the family remains, and she is done living in her shell. That may not be the kind of statement that explodes in 1 second, but it is exactly the kind that lingers. Because when someone says less, every word matters more. And in this case, that may have said everything it needed to say. If you made it to the end, let me know whether you think Nicole was simply being graceful or whether her words hinted at much more behind the scenes. And if you want more celebrity updates with the full story, not just the headline, comment and subscribe.